Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt something was off? No one said a word. The lighting was fine. The people smiled. And yet, your body tightened. Your breath shifted. Your energy recoiled before your mind could name why. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes, heard their words, but sensed deep in your chest that their truth was different? That behind the laughter was sadness? That behind the calm voice was chaos? Or maybe you found yourself drained after simple interactions, exhausted after being in a crowd, not because of the noise, but because of the weight you absorbed from people who never even touched you. If any of that feels familiar, you are not imagining things. You are not broken. You're simply attuned to a frequency most people have never been taught to hear. You're not just sensitive, you're spiritually gifted. Now, I know. That phrase sounds dramatic, mysterious, maybe even strange. But stay with me. Being spiritually gifted doesn't mean you're psychic, or mystical, or somehow better than others. It means you're wired to feel the world not just through thought but through sensation, through vibration, through subtle shifts that most minds filter out. It means you live not only in the visible world, but in the invisible one, the one made of energy, intuition, and archetypes moving beneath the surface of everything. Carl Jung once said, "The most sensitive among us are the first to feel what the collective unconscious hasn't yet found words for." Think about that. You are registering signals the collective doesn't even recognize yet. You are processing what society has not made space to name. That's not weakness. That's evolution. But here's the challenge one that almost no one talks about. When you carry this kind of sensitivity and you don't know what it is or how to protect it, can become overwhelming, even dangerous. People might distance themselves from you and you won't know why. Your presence may make others uncomfortable and you'll wonder if it's something you did. Some will be drawn to you, not to connect, but to take, to unload, to drain. You'll pick up pain that isn't yours. Emotions you didn't create. Energy you didn't invite. And if you're not careful, you'll think it's your job to fix it all, to carry it all, to hold space for everyone, even when no one holds space for you. That's why this conversation matters. Right here, right now. Because if you don't understand what you carry, you will keep trying to fit into a world that doesn't understand your frequency. You will keep shrinking yourself, numbing yourself, doubting yourself, until there's nothing left but confusion and fatigue. But once you do understand, once you start to see what this sensitivity actually is, everything begins to change. You stop absorbing everything, and you start choosing. You stop reacting, and you begin responding. You stop surviving, and you begin awakening. In this video, we're going to walk through 13 very specific experiences. Experiences that, on the surface, might seem random, emotional, even strange, but that, beneath the surface, are deeply sacred signs of spiritual sensitivity. You may not relate to all of them. Or maybe, you'll find yourself in every single one. Either way, what you hear will make something inside you exhale. Because finally, you'll have words for the things you've always felt, but never could explain. And more than that, you'll have clarity. You'll realize this gift you carry is not a burden, it's a compass. A hidden map, written in sensation and symbol, designed to bring you home to yourself. So before we begin, I want to ask you something. Something simple, but important. Have you ever felt like you were too much? Too emocional, too intense, too different? Have you ever felt like you see things others don't? Feel things others ignore? Need silence when others crave noise? And have you ever been made to believe that's a problem? What if I told you it's not a problem? What if I told you it's the exact opposite? What if all those things you've been told to tone down, toughen up, or turn off were actually the clearest signs of who you're really here to be? You are not here to fit into the noise. You're here to read the silence. You are not here to follow the path. You're here to sense the truth beneath it. You are not broken. You are built for depth. But depth, in a shallow world, is rarely celebrated. That's why this video exists. Not to give you new information, but to help you remember what, on some level, you already know. This is not a list. It's a mirror. And by the end of it, my hope is this: that you stop apologizing for feeling deeply, that you stop dimming your intuition to match a disconnected world, and that you begin the most important journey of your life, the journey back to your original frequency. So take a breath. Let it be full. Let it be real. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a set of traits or patterns. It's a sacred recognition, a remembering of the language your soul has always spoken. And with that, let's begin. Let's explore the 13 things only spiritually gifted people truly experience, and why they might just be the most important clues to your awakening. 1. You feel spaces the way others feel people. You don't just walk into a room, you read it. Without needing to analyze, your body already knows. Some places feel heavy, like the air is thick with something unspoken. Others feel strangely uplifting, even if no one else notices. It's not about superstition. It's about resonance. Carl Jung once wrote that the collective unconscious appears not only in dreams, but in atmospheres. That means every room carries traces of what happened, their words unspoken, tension unresolved, grief unprocessed. And for someone like you, those traces are not invisible. They're tangible. You don't need a reason to feel it. You just do. Eventually, you stop questioning it. Because the more you trust your body's first reaction to a space, the more you realize you're not just imagining, you're sensing. You're tuning into the field long before logic arrives. 2. Your body speaks before your mind can catch up. A wave of nausea while talking to someone who seems perfectly kind. Tension in your shoulders in a room that looks peaceful. A shiver across your skin without warning. These are not coincidences. These are messages. Your system is always scanning, listening, feeling, decoding the unseen. Carl Jung believed that the body is a vessel of the unconscious, that it holds knowledge before the mind has words. That's why, when something is wrong, your body tightens before your thoughts do. Over time, you learn this is your language, your personal alert system. You begin to respect it, because every time you ignored it, you paid the price. It's not overreaction. It's intuition made flesh. 3 children, animals, and elders gravitate toward you, not because of what you say, but because of what you are. Children look at you like they're trying to remember something. They pause. They observe. They trust you. Instantly. Sometimes they run up and sit beside you without needing to know your name. Animals, too. The nervous dog that settles. The cat that climbs into your lap. The bird that doesn't fly away. And then the elders. People who have seen too much, felt too much, often speak to you like you're already familiar. They share stories, secrets, pain they haven't voiced in decades. Why? Because energy doesn't lie. Because you don't perform. Because truth speaks even in silence. Jung believed that those not yet conditioned and those returning to simplicity feel the symbolic realm directly. Children and elders aren't confused by your vibration. They recognize it. You don't need to prove anything. They see it in you because it's also in them. 4. You feel emotions that don't belong to you. You were fine a moment ago. Then, after a quick exchange with someone, your chest tightens. You overhear a conversation, and a sadness creeps in that wasn't yours. You walk through a crowd and leave it. Drained. This is not weakness. This is exposure. You're not fragile. You're porous. Science has a name for emotional resonance. Psychology calls it empathic attunement. But those names don't fully describe what it's like to carry feelings that weren't born inside you, yet hit you with full force. Carl Jung said that some of us are more connected to the collective unconscious. And when that connection is open, feelings move through you before you know how to name them. You don't just notice pain. You absorb it, and until you learn to trace it or return it, you carry burdens that were never yours to hold. 5. You often wake up between 3 and 4 a.m. No alarm. No noise. Just awake. your body still, your mind clear. This isn't insomnia. It's not restlessness. It's something older, quieter, calling. In mystic traditions, this is the hour of the soul. Buddhists call it the hour of the empty mind. Christian mystics called it the spiritual watch. Carl Jung saw it as a thresholder moment, when the veil thins, when the ego quiets, and the self begins to rise. You may feel like someone's watching, or like your dreams left you a message still echoing in your chest. This isn't your schedule being disrupted. This is your soul asking for space. And the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. 6. Your drive-eams feel more real than waking life. They linger, not just in your mind, but in your body. You wake up with tears, with clarity, with the memory of a place you've never been, but deeply know. Sometimes your dreams predict things. Sometimes they repeat exactly the same, over months, years. Sometimes they introduce you to people you've never met, but who feel like home. These aren't just dreams. These are transmissions from your unconscious, from the archetypal realm, from the parts of you that only speak in symbols. Jung believed that dreams are the language of the self. Not random noise, but carefully coded messages meant for you. And for the spiritually gifted, that channel is open. You don't just dream. You travel. You decode. You remember. These 6 signs alone already set you apart, not as someone better, but as someone built to feel the world deeper, to move through it not just with logic, but with layered awareness. And this is only the beginning. 7. You've always felt like you're here for something more. Even if you can't name what it is, there's a quiet sense deep in your chest that you were born with a purpose. Not a goal, not a job title, but a mission, a kind of soul assignment. You try to live like others do, follow the steps, check the boxes, but something always feels hollow. What excites others leaves you restless. What fulfills them leaves you questioning. It's not that you're ungrateful. It's that a part of you remembers something more. Carl Jung called this the call of the self. The moment your ego begins to loosen and a deeper force begins to rise. At first, it's confusing, like nothing fits, like everything's breaking. But in truth, it's the beginning of your awakening, the start of your individuation, the sacred process of becoming who you really are. You may not know the destination, but the calling is real, and it won't go away. Not until you answer. 8. You feel physically exhausted in fake interactions. Not just bored, not just disinterested, tired, drained, like something in you is being pulled apart silently. You're not antisocial. You're not shy. You just can't stay in rooms where everyone's wearing masks. Small talk feels like static in your nervous system. Surface-level conversations feel like you're being erased. It's not about being introverted. It's about being sensitive to energy that isn't aligned. Carl Jung called it the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted. But if you're spiritually gifted, you feel that mask. You feel the distance between who someone is and who they're pretending to be. And that distance costs you energy. You're not tired because people drain you. You're tired because pretending drains you. You don't crave attention. You crave authenticity. 9. You feel out of sync, even with people you love. You're sitting in a room filled with warmth. The people are kind. The connection is real. And yet, something inside you still feels slightly disconnected. Like your body is present, but your soul is somewhere else. This doesn't mean you're ungrateful, or cold, or unloving. It means your energy is vibrating on a different frequency. And when that frequency doesn't resonate with your surroundings, no matter how kind or well-meaning, they can't quite reach you. Jung spoke about the law of vibration, passed down through Hermetic thought, that everything moves, everything vibrates. And alignment isn't about proximity, it's about resonance. You can love someone deeply and still feel alone with them, not because love is missing, but because your soul needs something they can't yet feel. 10. People open up to you instantly. Strangers, acquaintances, even people you barely know. One moment it's casual. The next they're telling you their secrets, their trauma, their grief, their truth. They say things like, "I've never told anyone this before," and they don't even know why they're telling you. But you know why. It's not about words. It's about presence. Your energy makes people feel safe, not because you fix them, but because you see them. Carl Jung once said, "A true healer holds the weight of another's unconscious without trying to fix it." That's what you do. You don't interrogate. You hold space. You don't perform. You receive. Your presence allows others to put down what they've carried too long. And for a moment, they can finally breathe. But here's the truth. That's a gift. And also a responsibility. Because by the end of the day, you've carried more than most people say with 1,000 words. 11. You feel alone in crowds. Not physically, energetically. You can be at a party, a family gathering, a place filled with laughter and connection, and still feel like you don't belong. It's not because you're unloved or broken. It's because your soul has outgrown surface-level connection. It's not being alone that hurts. It's being unseen in a room full of people. Carl Jung said that the path to individuation begins with a separation from the crowd. That sometimes the soul has to disconnect before it can come home. Not to a place, but to itself. So if you feel like you're not really with people, even when you're beside them, you're not broken. You're awakening. And that ache inside, it's not loneliness. It's your soul remembering something deeper. 12. When you speak the truth, people react. Even if you say it kindly, gently, softly, the moment it leaves your mouth, something shifts. The room gets quiet. Faces change. People get uncomfortable. It's not what you said. It's what you activated. Carl Jung warned that when someone touches the collective shadow, they often become a target. Because truth is disruptive. Not because it's harsh, but because it reveals. Your presence shines a light on what others aren't ready to see. So when people call you too intense, it often means they're not ready for what you reflect. But speak anyway, because your truth may be the mirror someone else has been waiting to see. 13. You long for something sacred, something you can't name, something you've never seen, but feel like you've always known. It's not a place or a person. It's a presence, a remembrance. Sometimes it hits you in nature, sometimes in music, sometimes in the middle of the night when the world is quiet. This ache isn't emptiness. It's memory. Carl Jung said the self is the deepest symbol in the psyche, the part of us trying to return to wholeness, to integration, to origin. This longing you feel isn't weakness. It's not depression. It's not confusion. It's the soul calling you home, to the place within you that was always whole, even before you were told to forget. These are not random feelings. They are signals, not symptoms, but signs. And if you saw yourself in these experiences, not with your mind, but with your body, with your breath, with that quiet yes rising in your chest, then know this. You're not strange. You're not alone. You're sensitive because you're meant to see. And that is where the awakening begins. Everything you just heard is not a coincidence. It's not dysfunction. It's not weakness. It's not something you need to fix or hide. It's awakening. Each of those signs, each quiet sensitivity, each deep inner response is not proof that something is wrong with you. It's evidence that something in you is remembering, reactivating, rising. You are not too much. You are tuned in. And in a world built to suppress that kind of depth, your presence is not just rare, it's sacred. But here's the truth. Awareness is only the beginning. The real shift happens when you begin to choose, when you no longer absorb everything, when you pause before you say yes, when you stop asking, will they accept me, and start asking, does this resonate with my truth? Carl Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming whole, only happens when we integrate what has always been hidden. Now that you see it, you cannot unsee it. You don't need permission anymore. You need presence. So if you're wondering what to do next, where to begin, start here. First, choose what nourishes you. Before you respond to anything, an invitation, a conversation, a screen pause, ask yourself, does this expand me or does this drain me? Let that question guide your yes and your no. Second, write what moves through you. Once a day, take 5 minutes. Write down one feeling, not the polished version, not the explained one, just the raw energy. This practice helps your unconscious speak. It teaches your system to return what doesn't belong to you. And third, sit in silence. No agenda, no goal, just 5 minutes. With your breath, with your presence, with the you behind all the doing, because silence is not emptiness. It's space, and in that space, truth speaks. Remember, this sensitivity is not a flaw. It's a compass. It points not only to what needs to be healed, but to what you're here to heal in others by being exactly who you are. You're not here to fit in. You're here to remember, to reclaim, to radiate. And every time you choose from that place, you realign your entire path. Your presence is your power. And now, you know, if you saw yourself in one or many of these 13 signs, leave a comment below that says, I choose to listen to my true frequency, not just as a response to this video, but as a quiet promise to yourself, a declaration, a moment of remembering. Because sometimes, one sentence written publicly becomes the anchor that keeps you aligned when the world tries to pull you back. And if this message brought you clarity, if it helped you feel less alone, if it gave your sensitivity a name, consider tapping the thank you button. Your support, no matter how small, is what keeps this space alive. It allows these messages to reach the people who need them most. It makes sure that voices like yours have a place to be heard. And finally, if you haven't already, subscribe, because in the next video, we'll go even deeper into the signs that your soul is entering a new phase, a moment of profound transformation. When everything familiar begins to dissolve, something truer can take its place. You won't want to miss it. Until then, trust the frequency you've been given. It knows the way home.